love lives here.
So Eddie and I have been watching The Bear recently, the most recent season of The Bear. Who watches The Bear? Yeah, a few of you watch The Bear. How many of you have watched The Bear in the past? How many of you know what I'm talking about? Okay, 2. All right. So, a little bit of background. Yay, Sally. All right, a little bit of background about The Bear. The Bear is about a restaurant in Chicago, and it goes from being like a Italian beef shop or an Italian beef stand, which is popular in Chicago, to becoming they're trying for their first Michelin star, right? And so it's 5 seasons so far of ups and downs and turmoil and trauma and drama and excitement. They call it a comedy. We laughed finally last night, I think after 5 years, because a water main broke, and that was funny. But at any rate, it's not really a comedy, but whatever. Beside the point. So at any rate, this season has kicked off with they are in deep financial trouble. It is raining in Chicago. Since none of you have watched it, this isn't going to be a spoiler because I don't know that you're going to watch it. So it's raining terribly. It's raining cats and dogs in Chicago. Outside drain clogs, which then clogs all the water pipes in the building of the restaurant. They're trying to keep going and keep opening the restaurant. They're back in their bills. They're behind in their bills, so they don't have a whole lot of food for their menu. The water pipe bursts, ruins all of their linen, ruins all of their uniforms, ruins everything. What else do they have going? Oh, their family is in turmoil. All these different families are in turmoil. The head chef, whose creation this is, decided last night that he doesn't want to do it anymore, and he's ready to quit, but he's not telling anybody yet, but he's just ready to quit and give it up, and he's trying to hand it over to his assistant or his sous chef, who is ready to step up, but he keeps stepping on her toes and keeps getting in the way, and chaos continues to ensue. Through all of this, what they're trying to do is they are trying to keep all the stressors. They are addressing the stressors. I mean, talk about a stress case, right? Restaurants alone are very stressful situations or very stressful environments for the staff. They make it look easy for us out front because we're wanting a beautiful dining experience. But in the back, it can be chaos, or it can be like orchestrated chaos, or it can look that way. And so when you have all of this dysfunction happening as what's happening in the restaurant, and at one point the roof caves in, dessert is lost. It's crazy, it's chaotic, it's mayhem ensuing. Stress, right? As I'm describing this to you, what is going on in your body? You're like, yuck. Why would I want to watch this, Jeff? I don't know. I've questioned it myself recently. But what I found in watching and observing this chaotic, stressful environment on TV, which gets my blood going a little bit too, and I start breathing more shallowly, is I was watching last night. And I was watching the sous chef, who's now becoming the head chef, Chef Sydney. And as all this chaos is ensuing around her, she is staying calm. She's staying calm. It doesn't mean that she's not stressed or that there's not a lot of stress on her, but she's staying calm. She's keeping her eye on the vision of, we open at 5:30 tonight. We only have so much food. We have no way of washing dishes. So once the dishes are gone, once the spoons are gone, we're done too. So there's all of this that's ensuing, and she is remaining fairly calm in the midst of it. Because she's focused on the vision. She's also focused on what matters most. She's focused and centered on principle. She's focused and centered on doing the best that she possibly can in this given situation. And she's focused on creating a team, of working together as a team. This is where she's focused. And so while all these people are screaming and yelling, she takes a deep breath and then just calmly cuts through the noise and says, "We will be okay. We're going to do this. We'll be okay." She takes a step back, goes to the restroom, breathes to get away from the chaos. Trust me, I understand you, Sid. Breathes to get away from the chaos and comes back and said, "Yes, today got off difficult. Today has been difficult. It got off to a rocky start. But you know what? In this moment right now, we're not going to worry about what yesterday was or what earlier today was. We are starting fresh. We're starting new, together, right now in this moment, together, as a family, as a community, as one." Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. So when we think about stress, my beloveds, what is our relationship to stress when we think about stress? What is your relationship to stress? When you hear that word stress, as I wrote in my email, right? All of a sudden there's just the word alone can evoke upset in your tummy or what have you, right? Upset in your heart, upset in your breath. But what stress really is, if we're willing to look at it, is stress is an invitation to pay attention to what in the heck is going on around us. What in the heck is going on within us? Stress is an opportunity to go, wait. Pause. Check in. What am I attached to? What am I seeing? What am I experiencing? What am I feeling? What's really at work here? What am I believing in this moment that is actually causing me to feel this way? Because stress, like our other emotions of anger or jealousy or feelings of anxiety or worry or fear, stress is nothing more than a thought. Stress is a thought. Stress is a belief. Stress is what we assign it to mean. We give stress the meaning in our lives. And as a consequence, with all of those kinds of thoughts or all of those kinds of emotions, what happens in our physical body? Our physical body is a manifestation, is a demonstration of our thought. Ernest Holmes talks about this in chapter 8 of Science of Mind, the power of thought. He goes on and on about it. That our health or our sickness are externalizations of the dominant mental and emotional states that we hold. On page 144, stress and other emotions, worry, anxiety, fear, anger, jealousy, and physical suffering are all demonstrations of our the physical demonstrations, they cause the physical manifestations of our mental thoughts, of our mental ideas. So our mental state expresses our corresponding condition in our physical body. Make sense? Nothing new. Practicing it. Right? And so when we are in a prolonged discordant state, on page 145, Allison, when we are in a prolonged discordant mental state, it is certain to eventuate in some form of physical ailment. All mind activity inevitably tends to create its physical correspondent. We know this. And yet, it's easy to get caught up in the swirl of life, the stressors of life, where we begin to think about things, or we begin to ruminate, we begin to perseverate, we begin to just continue to expand or catastrophize. And when we do that, what are we doing to our body? It's not necessarily that, oh, I have a belief in sickness, so I'm making myself sick, right? But it is a long-term, underlying fear, anxiety, stressor that is at work that we are not paying attention to, which is this is then an opportunity to pay attention to what is being expressed through our physical body. Yes? Yeah. So we have the opportunity then to turn within. As Constance mentioned in her invocation, I can do all things through Christ within me, right? Basically. The Christ is the Christ consciousness. It is the unitive consciousness. It is the consciousness of oneness. It is the consciousness that we are. It is the consciousness that we inhabit. It is the consciousness that inhabits us. We are one with the one. We are inseparable from the one mind, spirit, God, source. We are inseparable from that. We are an expression of that. So therefore, that is also the word that we use, the expression that we are, the way that we use the law is through our conscious use of mind, our conscious use of thought, our conscious use of belief. And so, as Ernest says, with the law, or the human's word is the law unto them. So that which you speak, the word that you speak, the word that is creative. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. That which God did not create was never, ever created. Meaning, therefore, that you and I are one with the one. We are a divine emanation, impartation of this one life. So therefore, the word that we speak in the microcosm is the same word as that Spirit speaks in the macrocosm to create. And you and I have free will to create. So where are we placing this free will? Where are we placing our choice? Where are we placing our thoughts? Are we placing our thoughts on stressors and allowing them to continue to rule our condition? Part of the reason why the bear in the restaurant is so crazy is because everybody is focused on the condition. They're focused on the condition. They're trying to solve a condition at the level of the condition. And that's why they are all spinning out of control in this TV show. Can you solve a problem at the level of the condition? Temporarily, maybe. She puts duct tape over the leak because everybody else is too scared to do it. So she puts duct tape over the leak. It lasts for about 20 seconds before all over, right? It's a temporary solution to a condition that is happening, but what do we need to do? They need to go and they need to fix the problem at the source. They need to fix the cause. They need to put a new cause in motion. They haven't done that yet, so we're only halfway through the season. Right? But they haven't gone to cause. And this is what we have the opportunity to do. When stressors arise, we get to go to cause. We get to hit pause and go to cause. Hit that again. We get to hit pause and go to cause. One more time. We get to hit pause and go to cause. Because when we go to cause, and remember that there's only one cause, one power, one presence that is inside each and every one of us, that is living, moving, breathing, and having its being in, through, and as each one of us, and us in and through and as it. When we recognize that oneness, then we recognize that the answer, the solution to whatever the problem may be, to whatever the condition may be, is already inside. Which is what Sid is getting to. She's getting there. She's not quite there, but she's really getting there. By going in and turning within and listening, like, okay, what is the next step? What is the next thing? She's listening to an internal guidance, and it's very obvious she's listening to an internal guidance in this show. And it's powerful. Because what you see when she takes control the way she does is that there is a calm presence that soothes things. There is a calm presence that speaks with authority. And people listen. Because while she's not denying the condition around her and everything that's going on, she is also not feeding the condition. She is not leaning in and trying to solve the problem, which is then creating more chaos. So when we go in and we listen, then perhaps what arises for us is a lesson, a gift, an invitation. When we turn within and we listen to what is this stressor trying to tell me? What is it trying to awaken within me? What is it trying to draw my attention to? And we have the power to awaken ourselves, to wake up to what is. And so perhaps one of the things that's inviting us in a stressful situation is, hey, maybe you need to set a boundary here. Maybe you need to set a boundary with a person. Maybe you need to set a boundary with your time, your responsibility. Are you taking on too much responsibility that's not even yours? What's the invitation? Perhaps there's incompletions that are being called forth. Okay, you need to pay that bill. That bill is not going to go away. That bill is going to be there whether you ignore it or not. So, how about we just face it and we deal with it now rather than continuing to perpetuate a feeling of yucky, oh, golly, yuck, because we're avoiding it. We're not looking at it. So what becomes possible when we actually pay attention and we face it? What if what it's inviting us is, okay, you know what? You can't do it all by yourself. You've got to delegate. You have to ask for help. You need support. And guess what? It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to get support. It's okay to delegate. These are all invitations, perhaps, that we hear when we feel the stressors and we listen for the gift that is behind them. And perhaps what the stressor is inviting you to is to rest, to relax, to rejuvenate, to recover. So I know that Sally and Lou know this really well because we're in the pool all the time. And so when we're in the pool, right, we do cardio when we're in the pool, yes. But then our instructors at the pool in Aquamotion also focus a lot on strength training, weight training, so a lot of resistance in the water. Like you open your hands and then you get more resistance against the water, right, rather than making fists or slices. So there's more resistance to create more weight training and strength training. Why do we do this? Why do we do this? Because when we are exercising our cardio, we are strengthening our heart and we're strengthening our lungs. We're strengthening that capacity to breathe for endurance. But also when we are strengthening our muscles, we are strengthening our muscles on our bones. Right, Roxanne? We're strengthening our muscles on our bones. We do this through yoga too. That it helps to create a greater strength in the body. But if you do the same routine day after day after day after day, you're going to see less than optimal results and could increase injury because you're not resting in between. That's why the gym bros have leg day, right? And then they have chest day. And then they do arm day. And then they do leg day. Right? They switch the parts of the body to give the parts of the body that they've worked hard, they give those parts of the body a chance to rest, a chance to recover, a chance to recuperate, because that's where the actual strength is. It's not in the lift. It's in the recovery. The muscle build is not in when you're lifting or when you're doing weights or we're in the water and we're doing resistance. That's not where the building is. The building is actually in the recovery from the activity. We are stressing our bodies to then recover or rest, and that's where the building happens. Same thing with our mental capacity. How many people do Duolingo or play word games on your phone or read or study, you're actively studying something, yes? Right? What that's doing is that's challenging your mind. When you're learning, when you're studying, when you're practicing, when you're figuring out puzzles, that's challenging your mind. It is helping you keep your mind sharp. And then every once in a while, isn't it nice just to take a break from that and just read Danielle Steele? Or, I don't know, Tom Clancy, right? Just to read something fluffy, right? Just something for pleasure, something for enjoyment. Because it gives our minds then a chance to rest, and it gives our minds a chance to integrate that which we have been studying or that which we have been practicing. And same thing with spiritual practice, right? Sometimes meditation feels really hard at the beginning. Ugh, I can't get my monkey mind to shut up. It just yaps and yaps and yaps and yaps. And I don't feel like I'm meditating. All I feel like is I'm sitting there and I'm getting irritated because my mind won't turn off. And it's struggle, and it's hard, and it's stressful. Like, how can meditation be stressful? It's not supposed to be stressful. I'm supposed to be calm. Right? But the more we practice, the more we sit with it, the more we're willing to be present with it, we learn that early stages of the monkey mind, or sometimes those meditations are like, well, that one sucked today. I don't know what was going on, but that meditation just, bleh, right? That's part of the practice, it's part of the build, it's part of the stressors that are allowing for a deeper experience of your own spirituality. Yeah? So, beloveds, I invite you to think about changing the relationship you have with stress. Stress is not something to be pushed through. It's not something to endure. It's not an invitation to persevere. It's not or cope with or deal with or eliminate or reduce or handle. You see what we're doing when we use those words of stress? What are we doing? We're stressing, right? Because we're trying to control. We're trying to control it. We're trying to manipulate it. We are actually entering into a conflict with stress by trying to manage it, control it, deal with it, eliminate it, reduce it, cope with it. Just deal. And we're taught in our society as well that, hard work is important. Yeah, you just push through. Stress is rewarded in some ways. You see somebody pushing through. You see somebody working hard. They're enduring. They're a hard worker. Isn't that a compliment? Oh, wow, he's a really hard worker. And we all go, wow, yeah. Dude is burning himself out. So we need to be thinking about how do we reframe this so that rather than always praising it, or rather than trying to push it aside, what if we change our relationship with it, become curious about it, and allow stress to become a teacher? Allow stress to lead us towards strength. Allow stress, when we recognize it, when we become aware of it, to make us stronger. What then? So I invite you to go to tables and let's have a discussion about this very topic. So here we go. Your questions for today are, what stress signal do you usually ignore? Which practice reliably restores you? And how can we build a culture that normalizes rest? So let's have a conversation at the tables for a few minutes here around these questions, and then we will come back. All right, beloveds. So our stressors, right? The one thing that we didn't really talk about or touch on that I just want to touch on briefly here is that there is also an underlying stress or level of stress in our society currently. And that contributes to family life, financial life, work life, economy, what have you, that we are experiencing this underlying level of stress, whether we are aware of it or not. So my invitation for you is to pay attention to that too. Pay attention to, I'm feeling pretty good today, but something is feeling a little weird. And it might very well be that underlying stress. We often think of this in Centers for Spiritual Living, that is the race consciousness or is the collective unconscious at work. And so there is a collective unconscious that is operating currently as a low grade, or not even low grade, but in the background kind of stress. And so when we can then pay attention to that, we can then breathe into that. Some of the things that I suggest are taking a breath. When you become aware of it, just take a deep, cleansing breath. Feel that? Feel how your body just shifted a little bit? Just with that breath just now. Another tool that is really helpful to use, and this is the tool I'm inviting you to practice this week, is the 5-4-3-2-1 method. You may already be familiar with it. And it's the 5-4-3-2-1 reset. So when you're feeling stressed, or when there's something arising, or anxiety or anything, name 5 things you can see. I see a pew, I see a camera, I see a laptop, I see Marty, I see a cane. 5. Okay? 4 things you can touch. I can touch my shirt, I can touch my water bottle, I can touch my laptop, I can touch the candle. 4. 3 things you hear. I hear a cough, I hear the air conditioner, I hear a chair. 2 things you can smell. Smell coffee, Smell the AC. One thing you can taste. I can taste the inside of my mouth. By using this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, it takes you out of the hubbub or out of the stress, and what it does is it brings you right here, right now, physically present with your 5 senses. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's easy, it's fast, it's quick, and it really does the trick. And then take a nice deep breath and proceed from there and see what has shifted for you in your body and what has shifted for you in your mind. There's a table that I heard. People are praying for clarity, right? Because of fog or overwhelm or whatever else. This is one way to quickly dial into clarity, because it's a remembering to bring yourself back fully present right here, right now, into your body in this moment. Sound good? All right, let's take a nice, deep, collective breath. Let it out. And let's shine and be glorious. Let's do a brief moment of prayer, and then we'll move into our closing affirmations and stuff. So just breathing in here at our core council as well, please, or leadership council, rather. So just breathing in here and now, recognizing that the one life that expresses itself so fully and completely through all of life, that brought forth creation of itself, as itself, that it is doing so in, through, and as each one of us gathered here this day. That right where we are, the Word lives. We are the Word embodied. We are the Word made flesh. And that we use our minds in the same way to speak our word here and now for this beloved community, Riverside Center for Spiritual Living, affirming and knowing that we listen to our bodies, we listen to our whispers, we listen to those sweet nothings from Spirit, guiding and directing, pointing the way, however they show up, whether they be the sound or a knee crick or pain in the derriere. We know that this is just a way of Spirit getting our attention, a way of life saying, hey, pay attention, come back to me, come back to your oneness, come back to your wholeness. We know that this is what is true. And so we say yes to that return. We say yes to turning back to Spirit. We say yes to turning within and allowing the Spirit within to do the work before us. And so any stressor that we may encounter turns into a strength because our consciousness transmutes it and makes it so. And for this we give thanks. We let it be. We claim and we know. And so it is. So I invite everybody to stand and say this affirmation. I turn stress into strength. Let's hear it really like you mean it. I turn stress into strength. All right, something wonderful is happening through me right now. It is this thing called love. Love is in my mind. Love is in my body. Love is in everything I do. I am it. I share it. I receive it. And I move love forward because love lives here.